of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals.
Nice. Hold on here. Oh my God. Wow. That was quite the entrance. Hello. Welcome to the American Awakening. Can you... Testing. There we go. Jesus, that was going throughout the whole thing. Wonderful. Hey, welcome everyone. Now I got that up too high. Hold on. There we go. How's that? Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Just doing a quick test here. Hit could hear me earlier, but test. Should be okay. No, you cannot hear me. You're getting feedback, and there is an echo. Okay. So, echo. No, you can't. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Test. No, you sound far away. That should be working. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Patriot hears me 555. No sound so far. No, you sound so far away now. If I put this microphone over here, that sounds. How's this? Is this better? Now, no. Okay. There. That's down. That's good. Should be able to hear me okay. Not really. Good when you say test. Well, that's because I got this here. Let me bring this mic over here. There we go. How's that? Is that a little bit better? Probably a little bit better. And let me do this. Number 2. What have I got this set at? 1 is set dynamic at 35. 2 is set dynamic at 35 now. Okay, how's that? Is that a little bit better? Let me do this with one mic. How am I coming in now? Am I coming in better? Hello and welcome to the American Awakening. How we doing here, guys? That should be better. Hey, Southern Charms. How are you? Nice. I like to think it's coming through pretty clear now. Should be coming through really clear now. I got 2 mics on. One of these 2 mics had better work. So, how are you guys doing? Happy Monday. Got the new studio set up. Got everything working. Pretty good. So, it was working perfectly. If I hadn't screwed it up, if I had actually trusted myself, I set it up so that once the countdown clock ends, it automatically is supposed to switch to. It's supposed to automatically switch to the next scene, which would have been, and it did. But then I hit the button, and it killed it. So actually, I think I've got it. I actually tested something out that should work pretty good. Yeah, good question, Heathcliff. Are you feeling better now, Southern Charms? Doing good. Spent some time in the med bed this weekend. Still feeling glowy and amazing. Nice. Hip, thank you very much. Hip we got something on the way. I think we got a lava lamp on the way. Compliments of Hip, I believe. And if that is the case, there's actually someone who recommended we get a. There's somebody who recommended that we get a a lava lamp, and once that's in and set up, I will tell you who that was. There we go. The video's not so great, but that's using the network video thing there. If I switch cameras, if I switch angles, like to the guest and host. Oh, look, I'm in the way. See, that camera right there isn't going to be all jumpy and skippy. But it's not the angle that I want. I'll probably end up switching. I should probably switch those around is what I should do. And that will, then when I just do the host, it won't look so good. So I'll change that around tomorrow. Just kind of tweaking some things around here a little bit. I got my, I pulled this out of storage. The, if you look over here, you've got this Korean, it's actually really wild. It's made out of a silk paper. That was given to me by the Korean ambassador to the U.S. at a very interesting party I attended back in like 2011 maybe, and I pulled that out of storage. A lot of interesting things I pulled out of storage and was either throwing away or keeping. So is that Jay? Is that Jaybird? Jay Null? Oh my God, Jay Null is over in YouTube land right now. That would be Jay Bird, and he's got a new windshield today. Thanks to a mutual friend who does windshields, and totally set Jay up on that one. She's awesome too. I hope she did a good job, Jay. But no, and Jay's helped me out these last couple days too, running around doing a few errands. I appreciate that very much. Jay is awesome. And this seat, Jay, right here, is waiting for you. So you got to get your ass over here, dumbass. Don't be like, oh, I can't do it, I'm working or something. That ain't gonna jive at all. So we got to get Jay over here. Iceberg 45 says Dean Ryan, Mr. Dean, lava lamps. Hey, so the Dean firefighter light bed, nice. Dean Ryan. Was it? Yeah. How did you know that Dean was the one that recommended the lava lamp? Did I say that before? Or? But no, he actually did recommend the lava lamp, and him being so much involved with, like the Hollywood thing and all that stuff. So we'll be getting the lava lamp in, and I'll be doing an interview very shortly again with Dean Ryan. But the interview that I want to have with Dean is going to involve the InfoWars trials, right? And so that's going to be interesting because Dean is a friend and colleague with what is it named? His name, Jim Fetzer, and Jim was actually mentioned Mr. Fetzer was actually mentioned in the InfoWars trial. So that is going to be, I think, a good interview, right? Because what is the trial about? Alex Jones wanted to make the InfoWars trial about Alex Jones, right? And he wanted to make it about a First Amendment, and that First Amendment was, if Alex Jones can't lie on air, then that's a violation of our First Amendment. I don't know how that quite works, but it's not, right? In my opinion, Alex Jones doesn't represent the First Amendment, doesn't represent me, doesn't represent whistleblowers. He's an opportunist that basically is profiting off of boner pills, right? So I will pass gas in that chair. Jay says he may pass gas in that chair. That's entirely possible, but don't do too much because I think Fred's going to be coming in that chair here in the next couple days. I think Fred Taylor's going to be stopping by sometime during the week, and that'll be nice. We'll have a little sit down with Fred. We're going to try to put some ideas together. I want to write Fred's book. And we got to get Fred the Medal of Honor. Kind of seems like a big deal, right? Kind of seems like if someone deserves anything like the Medal of Honor, that people should do everything that they can to help him get that. Yeah, do I still have an echo, by the way? I'm kind of curious about that. If I do, I think I know why, because I'm literally using 2 microphones right now, and I really don't need to be using 2 microphones at the moment. But just kind of trying to see how they work, so when I do have someone over here, but hopefully that echo is gone. But if he's using that as a defense on his platform with the repetition, that in itself is like a form of hypnosis. No echo. Excellent. David Knight says, this is not the Alex of 10 years ago. I can believe it. Thanks, Hip. I can believe that. It's really, but, you know, we need, let me pull this up here. Let me do this. I gotta put my Mountain Dew thing here. I want to jump into this here real quick. Kind of goes into it a little bit, kind of in a way, and then I want to go through an article that I had. Should I put it on that one or that one? No. I'll put this one on here. Here we go. Bring that up.
Congress has now heard from numerous law enforcement officials that there is significant evidence that the January 6th attack on the Capitol was premeditated, planned, and coordinated. And you just had an exchange with Senator Klobuchar where you, if I understood you correctly, expressed the FBI's view that it was indeed planned and coordinated.
He's got a Starbucks.
I recognize this is an ongoing investigation and that you're still learning the details, but at this point, what do we know about the planning and coordination that occurred surrounding the January 6th attack?
So I guess let me step back and say, first thing is there are sort of 3 groups of people involved in January 6th. The first group, the largest group, the group we need to spend the least time talking about is peaceful, maybe rowdy protesters, but who weren't violating the law. Then there's a second group, think of a reverse pyramid, a second group that is people who may have come intending to just be part of peaceful protests, but either swept up in the motives or emotion or whatever, engaged in kind of low-level criminal behavior, trespass, say, on the Capitol grounds, but not breaching the building. Still criminal conduct still needs to be addressed, but more on the fly, in the moment, opportunistic. The third group, the smallest group numerically, but by far and away the most serious.
Why do you need to turn the pyramid upside down? Why don't you have the pyramid like a normal pyramid and just have the small group at the top? Because that's where they belong.
This group are those who breached the Capitol grounds, who engaged in violence against law enforcement, who attempted to disrupt the members of Congress in the conduct of their constitutional responsibilities. And of those, some of those people clearly came to Washington, we now know, with plans and intentions to engage in the worst kind of violence we would consider domestic terrorism. And so some of that coordination appears to have been coordinated travel, coordinated meeting up, coordinated in terms of...
So shouldn't that be like the fourth group? He said there are 3 groups. Yeah, there's the third group would be the tactical operational people that were on the ground. But the fourth group would be the people that organized it. Not organized the event, but who behind the scenes were funding, coordinating the tactical, basically influence operation, coup d'etat that took place on January 6th.
What kind of gear they might be wearing or bringing with them, that kind of thing. Again, ongoing, obviously ongoing, much more to come, but.
Much more to come.
Often in an investigation, law enforcement follows the money. Is there evidence at this point of coordinated funding prior to January 6th, providing military equipment, providing communications equipment, or the like?
Certainly, that's a topic that we're looking at. I don't know that there's anything I can say right now in terms of funding or coordinated funding.
So that's not a no. That's certainly we're looking into that, but there's nothing I can say now. Would kind of imply that's something they're still looking into. Can't say. It would kind of imply, yeah, they're on to the money, right? They're following what's going on. It sucks how long it's taken. I get it. Few people are more disappointed in the way that this is being done, but then than me. But that's how the government works. It's not always a deep state plot. Sometimes it's just because they're government employees.
There's been considerable discussion at this hearing also about the Norfolk report. At the time, how credible and reliable did the FBI consider the Norfolk report as an actionable piece of intelligence?
Okay, that's a good question. Daddy Shees says, asks a question, right? So Ray's credible? Why wouldn't he be? Right? I mean, I don't know. Either way, how would I know? I do know that Trump appointed him. Right? This isn't some, it was Pelosi that appointed him. No. This guy was appointed by Trump. Now, does that mean that he is going to work for Trump? I'd say no. I'd say he's kind of it's the way he is. But does that mean that he's going to be working for the Democrats either? No, I would probably say no. Rosanna Dana says the FBI is asshole. Yeah, I mean, so I saw somebody make a comment about, the FBI. Why is it that we as conservatives, Republicans, if that's what you are, why is it the Republicans back the blue, but not the FBI? Right? Who was that? Louder for Crowder said that today. He gave a legitimate explanation. Steven Crowder did that because Republicans are more, libertarians, are more state. They believe in the state less than the federal. That's why they support, local law enforcement as opposed to the federal. But you do realize that virtually all the damn funding, as we saw, for even state, not all, but huge quantities, huge amounts of the funding that goes to our local law enforcement is funded by the federal government. And you think that if the federal government threatens to take that money away, that the thin blue line working next door, are going to be, we're for the little people. No, they're going to be, they're going to be for who signs the check? Right? So I'd be careful with that rationale. I think it's good to, there are clearly elements within our Department of Justice that have failed us, that fail us all the time. They failed me. You can go back on my YouTube channel a couple years when I was sitting out on Jaybird's porch, calling the Department of Justice, trying to speak with them, to be able to, as a whistleblower, as a DOD whistleblower, these people, they don't call you back. They don't follow up with anything, right? Is that because of some deep state plot against, PFC Bergy? Or is that incompetence? Or under, an unfunded mandate? I'm kind of going with more incompetence and unfunded mandate. I just think people should be really careful. Republicans need to be really careful attacking the FBI simply because they executed a warrant on behalf of the National Archives. This wasn't like Ray deciding or somebody within the Department of Justice or FBI deciding, hey, let's go through Melania's closet. Although there may have been somebody in there saying, hey, let's go through Melania's closet. Right? That's kind of jacked up. But I think for the most part, they were there because the National Archives said, hey, we have files that we believe Trump has at Mar-a-Lago that he's not supposed to have, right? And so one thing that everybody should know from watching my favorite YouTube videos called Comply is when the law enforcement or a judge or somebody like that tells you to do something, even if you don't like it, you should comply until you can get into court, because if you try to fight someone outside of the court, you're going to lose. Now, Lady Girl says, please, is this what you really believe? Good God. Well, what do you base your belief on, Luella? Right? Or Lady Girl, I'm sorry. If that's who you were referring to. If you don't think there's a problem with the FBI, you need to look into Russiagate. Ah, Russiagate. Yeah. Oh, you want to see how jacked up the FBI is? Now, I'm not saying, if you think I'm sitting here saying that they're the greatest organization on the planet, no, they got their problems. Take a look at this.
Story we're following this morning, former lobbyist and Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort is giving his first in-depth interview since serving time in prison. Manafort was convicted in 2018 on bank fraud and tax charges and sentenced to more than 7 years behind bars. He was eventually pardoned by then President Trump in December of 2020, more than 7 months after he was released from prison and put on home confinement due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, this morning, there are several bombshell revelations from Manafort's new interview with Insider. Namely, Manafort admitted for the first time that he's the one who funneled Trump campaign data to Russian oligarchs, not to swing the election to Trump, but to make money for himself.
What?
Joining us now is the journalist who conducted this exclusive interview with Paul Manafort, senior correspondent for Insider, Matthias Schwartz. And Matthias, it's good to have you on the show this morning. What else did you find out from Paul Manafort? And does he seem at all regretful about what he did?
He did not express any specific regrets. It is very interesting that he has now admitted that he gave Kalimnik some polling data. He also implied that not all of that polling data was public polling data, as he said in the past. So his story about exactly what this relationship with Kalimnik was continues to change 6 years on. He also talked about his relationship with the CIA.
Cosmic Club says, man, these MSM assets lie. Yeah, every damn one of them. Fox News. You think OAN's not lying to you? You think any of them? You think Chanel Rion? You think any of these people aren't lying to you? You gotta just sort through the bullshit best you can. They all frickin' lie. But check this out. This gets interesting.
He claimed that in the 1980s, he worked closely with the CIA and the White House in some lobbying, for example, in the Philippines and in Angola. He's very adamant that he tried to move Yanukovych towards the West. That was the one, Yanukovych.
So Yanukovych was the Ukrainian that I went into. That's it, even in my book. Manafort claims he was working with the CIA when he was doing work in the Philippines. That would have been back in the 80s with Imelda Marcos, with the Marcos family. That would also mean that he was working with the CIA about the same time that he was working with Roger Stone, that Stone was his partner. Wow. How did Trump's campaign manager... So you're wondering, right? So you're saying to yourself, this goes back to Lady Girl's Russiagate thing. Russiagate, kind of, think about how messed up that is, right? Russiagate was investigated by Department of Justice, Mueller, all these people. They couldn't keep him. They couldn't expose the truth. What are they supposed to say? See, if they would have exposed the truth, they would have been exposing that he was frickin' working for the CIA for many, many years. And now I want to know, was he working for the CIA when he was working with Stone? I want to know. That's kind of important. Seems like everybody around Trump was at one point an asset of the CIA. Look at Patrick Byrne. He's openly acknowledged he worked with Peter Strzok. He was like an informant for them with the FBI. Oh, they're bad now. But really? So what I say, Lady Girl, is, are we sure? Are you sure you have the whole picture? I'm not sure I have the whole picture. Do I think every damn FBI agent out there is bad? No, not at all. Just like not every judge, just like not everybody. But do you think we didn't even get close to the truth on what was going on with Russiagate? You think the FBI was gonna freaking tell us the truth about these people that were involved in every way, shape, or form? And he acknowledges, Paul Manafort's now acknowledging something that he completely said 1,000,000 times publicly that he didn't do. He now says, oh, okay, I guess I did it. Right? And that was with the polling data, with the data that he was giving over to the Russians. But he says, well, I wasn't doing it to help them influence the election. What the hell were you giving it to them for? Money. Okay, yeah, you made money. But what are they going to do with the data? They can't use that data to help a Russian candidate in Moscow. That American polling data is only going to help freaking you influence somebody in America. So he's clearly not telling the truth still. We don't have a clue what was truly going on. One thing that we do know is that one thing I do agree with was that, yeah, when he says he was doing it for money, that's what I said. That's what I said when I went on InfoWars. It's not about the politics. It's about the money, the profit, the power. You got to get the politics out of it. Once you do, things start coming together. Makes sense, right? So people are out there. They're telling you, "Oh, this is the FBI is bad." I'm just saying, don't just do that, right? Don't just go there, because they are setting you up. If you think that Republicans are going to have some sort of walk in the park in November, you and I have a difference of opinion. Because I believe, and right now you can look and see that these people, I got to read this from Wicked here real quick. Wait a second, Berg. Are you saying that Manafort is not looking at charges for national security breach? I wouldn't think that he would be. I don't know what his pardon included or involved. But you think they're going to bring him in for anything related to a national security breach when he's like coming out and talking about how he helped as a DC lobbyist again? Since when did conservatives, since when did Democrats start supporting, DC lobby firms? I'm like, really? That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me. So he and Roger Stone and all of these people, when we come back in the second half of the hour, when we come back, I've got another article from Ross Story that I'm going to play. But before that, I mean, what is this all? I thought DC ran on lobbyists. It does. That's the problem. And we'll go into that when I read this Ross Story interview when I get back. But bored, here we go. Yeah, look at that. Hey, there's a Mountain Dew bottle. Whoa. So, destructive forces tearing us apart. Right? Democrats, Republicans. We've got these lobbyists and these politicians that have just absolutely said, we're going to run the country from now on. It's clear that our elected officials aren't going to be able to do that. They're not qualified. So we're going to run the country from now on. But what they're doing for their profit and their power is tearing our country apart. We can't just assume that the FBI wasn't acting on legitimate concerns when it comes to national security. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to sit there and say, yeah, there's a lot of issues that I would like to have a conversation about when it comes to information assurance. I was an information assurance security officer. National security is a very real thing. And we have to protect it. But I don't see how we're going to protect it if we just take on face value everything that's coming out. Just because it's from Trump doesn't mean that it's true. Hard to believe I even have to say that. Trump would probably be the first one to say that himself, right? So it's like, what we have to understand is that these destructive forces are trying to tear us apart. They're tearing us apart. And we cannot just assume that, it's Trump So it's true. No. I supported Trump. I think Trump did some amazing things with North Korea. And, you know, I'll get so much shit from people for saying that, right? But then I'll also turn around and say, but he also really fell short. January 5th, January 6th, he fell short. He fell way short. That list is pretty damn long. Hey, Trump's next wife, too. He fell short. Now, that, you know, what are you supposed to do with that? Like I'll read with the Raw Story article. Actually, I probably could. We're running a little bit ahead with this. Like with this Raw Story article, right? Longtime GOP insider, America's not going to recover from Donald Trump. Well, I would disagree with that. But it's a problem because our country's being torn apart. People are attacking federal agents. And I believe they're doing these things on information that's just not solid or sound. That guy's dead. Some guy's dead who believed so much in the rhetoric and the hype and the lies that are being put out. Not all lies. Some of it's true. What's so difficult with that? It's like if you say that some of it's true, but not all of it, you're going to be attacked. Right? No. You're not going to be attacked. Well, yes, you're going to be attacked, but no, you shouldn't be attacked for saying it. Destructive forces are tearing us apart. They're trying to. So, when someone has a difference of opinion or has different information from you, and you just attack them, that doesn't do any good for the conversation. That doesn't do any good for people understanding what the truth is, because the truth isn't necessarily that black and white. Let me pull this up. I've actually got this set up pretty cool right now. So I can just like pull these up. And let me have it read.
Documents about nuclear weapons. It's almost as if Trump wanted this drama and showdown. How do you explain the level of denial from people?
Let me start here. Okay.
The numerous catastrophes of the age of Trump could all have been averted or greatly mitigated. But too many Americans, including at the highest levels of government and society, instead chose to remain silent about the nature of the emergency, or to normalize Trump and the Republican fascist movement as a slightly exaggerated version of politics as usual. Those who did speak out were frequently dismissed and mocked as alarmists by the mainstream media, while also being personally targeted for harassment, abuse, and political revenge by Trump and his acolytes. That has been especially true of former Republicans and conservatives who spoke out against Trump, and were then branded as traitors and heretics by his followers and the right-wing rage machine. Sherry Jacobus can claim to be one of the first Republican never-Trumpers. A former media spokesperson at the Republican National Committee, she has years of experience as a conservative political strategist, communications expert, and commentator. Jacobus is founder and president of the political consulting and PR firm Capital Strategies PR, and has appeared on CNN, Fox News.
So wonderful. He pissed off a lobbyist. It's all just a game to these lobbying firms. And if you don't think that these lobbying firms aren't the people that are controlling, that are behind a lot of these even smaller operations. Lady Girl mentioned earlier, about MSN, about mainstream media. Yeah, you can't trust them, but you think you can trust. You think these lobbyist groups don't invest into assets within InfoWars, to assets within, even the smaller people. You don't think people like Tory or other people like that could possibly be on the payroll for these lobby firms? They boast about having done it before.
News, MSNBC, CBS, PBS, and ABC and other outlets. Her opinion essays have been featured in USA Today, The Guardian, The Hill, The Daily Beast, The Daily News, and elsewhere.
Oh, wonderful.
In 2016, Jacobus unsuccessfully sued Donald Trump for defamation, claiming that his public attacks on her had resulted in millions of dollars in losses to her professional reputation and other harm. In this conversation, she discusses how the American news media and the rest of the country's political class normalized Trump and boosted his candidacy, in search of ratings, money, access, and power. She also explains why so many leading Republicans and right-wing elites ultimately supported Trump even when they knew that he and his followers represented an extreme danger to the country.
Now this chick, obviously, she's a DC lobbyist. She obviously gave out information, or apparently, allegedly, gave out information about Trump, which turned around and Trump pretty much had her blackballed from everywhere, including CNN. How did that happen?
Country 003317. Jacobus reflects on questions of accountability and penance for conservatives who betrayed their supposed principles and enabled Trumpism, and argues that many of the Republicans who have testified before the January 6th committee, and are now being celebrated as patriotic heroes, are actually self-interested actors who should not be trusted. At the end of this conversation, Jacobus cautions that the Republican Party cannot be redeemed or rehabilitated and that Democrats and the public must act accordingly if American democracy is to survive.
Now, to presume that the Democrats aren't any more jacked up and corrupt as far as their leadership goes. I'm not talking about Democrats, the constituents. They're as jacked up as Trump constituents. We're all just Americans. But if you don't think that the leadership within the Democrat Party is any less broken than the leadership within the Republican Party, that's when I look at you and say, you're just a partisan individual. You don't care about the facts, right? And that's one of the issues. Like, I'll watch MSNBC. Why? Because Fox News won't even report on these things. Fox News wouldn't even cover the January 6th committee. Now, when I watched the January 6th hearings on like MSNBC or something, do you think I just said, well, these people sound like they're completely truthful? No. Are you kidding me? But you got to get your information from somewhere, right? And it's not going to be the politicians. It's not going to be the mainstream media. Just because I'm sitting here reading from Raw Story, do not equate me with just believing that everything that's written from Raw Story is just completely nonpartisan. It isn't. Right? But I get information about Democrats from the Republicans. I get information about Republicans from the Democrats. But the problem is, hey, CF Neil, the problem is they're tearing us apart, right? That's the whole purpose of it.
Survive. Given all that is happening from the January 6th hearings, the escalating assault on democracy by Trump and his allies, and what feels like a never-ending torrent of other troubles, how are you feeling? How do you make sense of it all? I've been in this fight for 7 years. I'm an original never Trumper. Donald Trump came after me and got me kicked off Fox News in October of 2015 because I publicly confirmed a Washington Post report that he had a super PAC. Ever since then, I became a target. Of course, this was mainly Fox News, but also CNN.
Also CNN. See, what's up with that? See, now, if you said, oh, I'm never going to read Raw's story because they write bad things about Trump, well, you're not going to be able to filter through the story and actually see something like that where it says, but also CNN. Well, how would Trump be able to get this woman blackballed from CNN? What happened there, right? Trump's next wife says, Dana, my son had 41 heart attack. My son, 41, had heart attack, vaxxed, boosted. Daughter just found out she has mass on the cervix, vaxxed, boosted. Cousin, heart attack. Sister-in-law, heart attack. See the pattern. I'm sorry about that, Trump's next wife. My daughter, by the way, my daughter's, my kid's grandmother's in the hospital. She's got, she's in critical care. I think it's possibly something like a heart attack or something. I know she had gotten, I believe she had gotten those things, gotten the jabs. And, you know, nobody pushed for the vaccines more than Trump. I'm not anti-vax. I'm not anti-anything. I like to try to keep more of on the comedy side of things. I've gotten shots for most of my life for different things. I got 30 shots in one day when I enlisted in the Army. Am I a doctor? No. Do I trust Fauci about as far as I can throw a frickin' Harley Davidson? No, that would be a no. So no, I don't trust these people. But, I mean, nobody pushed for the vaccine. Nobody did anything more than Trump. Now, like Trump's ex-wife did acknowledge, you know, I think she said, Susanna Rosanna said, I keep hoping he's going to get ahead of it and apologize and go after Frank and Fauci. Agreed. But it's a bit late for that. Please tell me that there's nobody in this audience that thinks that Trump is still in control of the military. These are all just lies. These were all just lies. Trump, actually, some of the things, what do we know for a fact about Trump? Well, we know for a fact because both Manafort and Brittany Kaiser both said it under oath that Trump was not even planning on winning in 2016. Trump was planning on launching a social media or a TV station in which he was going to use the data collected from running for office to help build his platform. Well, that worked. He now has a platform that I wouldn't trust with a 10-foot pole. I'm not on Truth Social. I don't have a Android. I realize you can do it from a GUI, from a web browser, so you don't need that. But, you know, it's off and on with the comedy, CF Neil. You got to catch me on a good day. Sometimes I have my moments. Sometimes. Last night I was getting my hair cut by Holland, and I had her frickin' in stitches. We were talking about 23andMe, and I said I never got my results back, and I went to all the effort to to provide them with a semen sample on their little it was hard to get my semen sample on their Q-tip. And she's like, you don't send your semen, you spit on it. And I said, well, you know, I was kind of thinking that would be able to dig down deeper in the family roots. She had to stop. It was funnier at the time. But no. And Wednesdays are technically. We'll get Kevin in here, and then we can laugh more. But no, I do try to approach this stuff independently. I do try to approach this stuff. When it comes to national security, when it comes to information assurance and information security, I can sit here and say, listen, as a subject matter expert, X, Y, and Z. When it comes to other people's claims or things like that, obviously I can't. I can do research and I can put together clips from other things and we can all have a conversation. It's kind of actually cool because like right now, and this is one of the things that I'm looking at doing with the platform right now, right? Because for so long, I've just kind of sat here and talked. Most do, you know. Most everything that you see is nothing but a host talking, maybe interviewing somebody, and you guys listening. But I'm sitting here going, why am I doing all the talking when I've got dozens of people that are sitting here in real time? It's a little bit slower on YouTube for whatever reason. But I'm sitting here having conversations with people in real time, and you guys can actually ask questions. You guys can actually talk about, you know, ask me, and we can have a conversation about stuff. But I kind of like to try to remain, or I think the best that I can do, the best that I can do as a subject matter expert in cyber security and social media, psychological warfare, the best that I can do is to kind of like have a two-way conversation. And that's kind of where I'm going with it, because I don't see a lot of people having those two-way conversations. Now, sometimes I'll get in a bad mood and I'll get pissed off at somebody. They'll say something and I'll get pissed off. I'm going to try to do better. I got banned on Twitter. And that was, I think, probably one of the best things that could have happened to me. Because all Twitter is, it's just an IA opera. I don't want to be on Twitter any more than I want to be on Truth Social, right? I am setting up my Patreon to where hopefully very soon I'll be able to do some private conversations like we're having now. Some where it's they've actually got it set up better to work with like YouTube. So I'll put something out privately on YouTube and share it just for my Patreon supporters, and we'll be able to have a conversation with that. But you know, to think that somehow we're gonna solve anything on Twitter, it's just stupid. Or any of these platforms. These platforms are just turning into nothing but what is it these platforms are trying to do? They're trying to tear us apart. They want everybody on Trump's side to be on Truth Social. They want all the libtards to be on Twitter. They're tearing us apart. These damn social media platforms. The moment that Elon Musk backed out of Twitter, they just went batshit crazy. Started blocking people. It's going to be their narrative. That's it. It's going to be their truth. That's it. That's a major problem. Why do you think I did Shadowgate? Why do you think I came forward about Facebook? Although I don't think Facebook, to be honest with you, check it out yourself. And if I'm wrong, let me know. But, Facebook on November 3rd of 2020, I think it was November 3rd with the election, the day after the election, whatever day that was in 2020, the day after the election is when Facebook ended its partnership with the Atlanta Council and the other organizations that were doing that they had put together for that election integrity worldwide thing that they had, which was a huge joke, right? It's like, really? Seriously? Like that day, the day after, is when that program ended. I kind of makes you wonder if they didn't get a little, somebody kind of go up and say, hey, you know, we just fined you $1 billion for this stuff you were doing with Cambridge Analytica. How about we make it 10 billion unless you do what we say? You know, these people, they are trying to tear us apart. We as Americans are either going to allow them to do that, or we're going to step back and say, enough. I don't know how to do that from such a tiny platform right here. But there are people listening to me right now. There are people that listen to me in Shadowgate. Now, they've completely thrown me under the bus because I disagree with what some of my other colleagues, will we call them, in Shadowgate, seem to have differences of opinion on things. Okay, that's great. But if you ever believed me or ever believed in what I was saying in Shadowgate, then you have to understand that hasn't been resolved. It's just been more exposed, more brought out into the open. So attacking me, what good did that do? It proved my point, especially when I was attacked by using the same social media psychological warfare techniques and tactics that I was trying to expose in Shadowgate, right? And they used that. Yeah, I was looking for you today. Do you know Jimmy Corsetti? He was in Iraq and and has a huge YouTube channel. He is talking about how the internet search is so controlled. Jimmy Corsetti. No, I don't. But I'll have to check him out. I have a special thing for fellow sandboxers, as we call ourselves. And I hope everything's going better with your son, by the way, Trump's next wife. I got to scroll down to see what was saying here before we're going to go to break here in just a few seconds for 10 minutes. I hope anybody who has been with me will stay with me. Quick, throw this out before we go into break. 7:59, going about 8 o'clock. Listen. The move last week took me offline for a week. Very expensive, right? Not super expensive, but it set me back a lot. And I do this. I'm on VA disability, set a little over $1,700 a month. So, if you can help out, if you like what I have to say, if you want me to stay on the air and keep doing this, I need your help. I need your support. You can go to Amazon and you can purchase Victim of the Swamp or Operation Shadowgate or either the American Awakening or the Hack into Mankind's Shadow, or all three. Those things help me out tremendously. It should be, oh, Jesus. I still got to take that down. I got to take it down online on freedomstream.tv. So I'm just saying, don't even order a book off freedomstream.tv. I've got to close out the last of the orders that I have. I've got to fix that. If you join if you join Patreon and become a Patreon member. I have some things set up to where you'll be able to get a signed book, coin, different things for different levels and stuff. So I'm putting that together. I'm going to be setting it up so that you'll be able to have Patreon only access to Freedom Stream. I'm going to be taking away the Freedom Stream. Well, I'm going to leave if you've already subscribed and you're a member. You'll be good. They should work together, but I'm going to be taking that offline as far as being able to doing the monthly subscriptions. All the subscriptions I'm going to do are going to be going through Patreon. It's a concern because saying the wrong thing on Patreon can get you shut down, and I don't want to be confined into saying something I don't believe in or not saying something that I believe in because I'm worried about getting shut down on Patreon. That sucks. Purchase book on Freedom Stream. It won't affect your order at all, Catherine, at all. If you have an outstanding order, I have all the books. But my system got completely screwed up. Let me do this. Board and host. But my system got screwed up. I got all the books. And in the kitchen area there, you can see that's where I got the shipping area set up. But it's not going out yet, but we're close. Very close. Now I got that screwed up. There. So, we got the books. We got the shipping area set up. If your order hasn't gone out, it's only because it got screwed up. My bad, right? Because of an update that I did. Actually, an upgrade that I did and screwed it up. So I'm going to just be getting away from that entirely, altogether from my site. I'm going to be posting content to my site, and some content to my site will be restricted to Patreon, which will be cool. The only other way you can do it through Patreon is with that other, with another platform that they use. I can't think of the name of it, but it sucks so bad. Literally, the first video I ever posted, Vimeo, I think. First video I ever posted on Vimeo was taken down. They took it down. Literally, it was my Hello World video. They frickin' took it down because they felt it might have been inappropriate. Are you fucking kidding me? Pardon my French. It was a Hello World video. The first one. So I realized immediately I can never do anything with Vimeo. Patreon helps out the quickest and the best, right? So if you really want to help out, Patreon is a great way to go. And I'm going to be really focusing my time onto that. Twitch is absolutely awesome. They take a bigger percentage of your support, and they take forever to get the support to you. It takes like a month before you'll even see it. So Twitch but they're all great. The problem is that if I have too many platforms, me just like an individual person, I can't go responding to all the questions that people put out on all the platforms. So that kind of turns me into a piece of shit too. So I can't have myself spread out so much that I can't communicate or respond back or answer questions and stuff, because I actually do, but only in certain areas. Like I did quite a bit. If you sent me something on Twitter, it was real easy. But now Twitter's gone. It's great because I can focus on these others. So on that note, I'm going to go have a smoke. I'm going to go use the little boy's room and maybe make a cup of coffee. I hope you guys join me back in 10 minutes. No, I'm not on Substack, but Nope. So, but I'm probably going to just limit it to those, to the Patreon, which I've had for a while, and I'm close to being able to monetize YouTube. But again, you can't trust YouTube for anything. They'll shut you down quick as shit. You can just say one wrong word, or they can go back to something that you said. If I do, the moment that I get set up on YouTube for monetization, I'm going to delete everything I ever put on there. Why wouldn't I? They're going to go back and find something I said 2 years ago and hold that against me. Are you freaking kidding me? So I have different buttons here that I can either turn on or turn off, broadcast into different ones. And then you got to be careful what you say. This is the ridiculousness in the era that we live in. This is what we got. Oh, you can go on True Social. Yeah, like where the FBI, the guy that attacked the FBI was posting. We got to stop being part of the problem. We got to become part of the solution, my friends. I will see you back here in 10 minutes, I hope. Thank you very much. And thank you, Thomas Schoenberger. Oh shit, I never fixed the, never took Twitch off, or, Twitter off there. Dun, 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 dun. Welcome back, everyone. This was interesting. Actually, let me go to here before we go back into where is that? There we go. Nice. So I got to play this. I saw this. I was reminded of this when I went out on break. This is interesting. Rudy Giuliani. I saw something also that, and I'll probably talk about this on Wednesday. I may be going back to 5 days a week now once I get set up here for an hour, like 7 to 8. But right now, let me do this. This is interesting. And I just heard that Trump may have had his passport taken. It's kind of getting real, folks. Kind of getting real.
Investigation in Georgia looking into election interference. This is according to the New York Times, who spoke to one of Giuliani's attorneys. And it comes as Giuliani is set to appear before a special grand jury in Atlanta. I want to bring back former prosecutor and civil rights attorney Charles Coleman. What's the significance of the lawyer being informed your client, Rudy Giuliani, is a target?
Well, Chris, this is a big deal. It is the difference between you being a witness and you being the actual defendant in terms of the potential for what this entails. What we know is that Fonnie Willis down in Fulton County in Georgia has been really building a case to deal with the election interference that occurred in 2020. She's been talking to Lindsey Graham. She's been talking to, everyone who was around this situation. And before now, Rudy Giuliani had been subpoenaed as a witness in terms of trying to deal with the investigation and gather facts. But now, at this point, what this says is that there's been enough information to understand that Rudy Giuliani is a target, meaning that he is a potential defendant. So his attorney, his strategy around what he does when he shows up in Fulton County is entirely different. Now there are different things that he can do in terms of invoking the Fifth, in terms of not necessarily testifying in front of the grand jury because he has that right not to do so, but understanding that when that grand jury comes back with a decision, his name can end up on an indictment.
That's a heck of a beard.
So let's just remind folks, and I will read from the story that was just posted by the New York Times about exactly what Rudy Giuliani's role in all this may be. December 2020, he spent hours peddling false conspiracy theories about secret suitcases of Democratic ballots and corrupted voting machines.
Ouch. Yeah, he did. He did. Does that mean that there was no election fraud in 2020? No. There always is. There always will be. Oh, my God. But was the majority of the stuff that he was pushing out has that been discredited? Yeah, the vast majority of it. So the stuff that he was pushing out, I wonder, I'm just curious what he's going to do about that, because I, for one, will bear witness to the fact that, he was being, I would almost compare Giuliani's role in all of this to Joe Biden's role as president right now. He was just like drunk and old and being manipulated, not on his game at all. And the people that were manipulating him and doing this are still out there. They're still pushing this garbage. Yeah, he was just a useful idiot. Wicked, patsy, useful idiot. Don't like to use the word patsy and useful idiot in the same sentence just because I am Pat. Yeah, he was kind of a useful idiot. And this is going to be problematic.
Well, even in a country where we rely on free speech as being one of our most fundamental tenets, the reality is when you peddle lies of this nature at this level, they have consequences. And that's the thing that we see. Rudy Giuliani.
Notice that they actually assign a level to it, right? Like in the IIA, guidelines. It lays out the different. The difference in requirements for getting authorization if you're dealing with someone on a different level when it comes to mainstream media. So yeah, would someone like me, who has a very small following, going to be the target of a Department of Justice thing as quick as somebody like that with a very large following? No. Does that mean it's right? No. Does that mean there's an uneven level of justice? Yeah, we all see that.
In the wake of the 2020 election, went around the country, and in Georgia being one of those places, and spoke to a number of different state legislatures, peddling lies and falsehoods that he knew to be unfounded and untrue as a means of trying to influence the outcome of this election. And there were many consequences for this. And in this case, in Georgia, there were a number of different things that we saw. We saw fake electors trying to be used. We saw the Secretary of State attempted to be called to find 11,000 plus votes. So all of this stemmed from this type of peddling of these lies, and that's a result of why we are here now in so many different respects. And Fani Willis has decided that, look,
think about it, all the stuff that, whether you believe it's real, whether you believe it's bullshit, it's kind of irrelevant because they're using it now against us, right? So if they're using it against us now, then does it matter if it was right or wrong? Because they've never been able to really prove or show evidence that they were right on this. I saw something come out the other day. I started getting a lot of texts from some people with the like a follow-up thing to 2,000 Mules. And I'm like, when is enough enough? When are you going to realize that they are just simply using this, no matter what, to try to restore some sort of victory in November? They're going to tie everybody to that. Lady girl, you need to be clear on what you're referring to. What's out all day? The passport thing? Yeah, that might have been. That may have been. What do we got here? Also, let's be clear. Trump says something. Third party confirms Trump had his passports taken before believing a single word out of his mouth. Yeah, definitely. Definitely want to wait on that. I just said I repeated something I saw on a third party. I think somebody was doing like a review of a CNN thing, but I can't confirm that or deny it. You know, what good is that going to do? He's got his own jet. I doubt he really even needs a passport. But, and where's he going to go? Where's he going to run? It's kind of ridiculous. It's not like Trump could really go anywhere on this planet in any type of relative safety. Yeah, 24-hour rule. Yeah, I love the Dan Bongino 48-hour rule or something that he had. I'm still waiting on Bongino to come out with the Shadowgate. Oh, I'm going to do the 24-hour rule. Well, it's been like 2.5 years, Bongino. You going to come out and apologize for that because you said it was bullshit? And that clearly wasn't. At least not my component of it. Bongino rule. He's a tool. Yes, Bongino is a tool. He's bought and paid for by Fox News. And what's up with all of these former Secret Service agents? He was freaking Obama's Secret Service agent. His job was to protect Obama, and he's still doing it. There we go. Trying to read some of these things we have here. Yeah, I'm looking for you today. Do you know Jimmy? Oh, saw it, read that. You might get more followers if you do a show with him and explain it to you. Well, you know, that's possible. I'm actually working to start to build on, like that's why I have this set up here with a chair so that people locally that I can have come in and have a conversation with. Sometimes it's going to be funny, like with Kevin. He does comedy. With Jay, don't count on anything serious there with Jay, but it'll be fun. And also, if you don't think that that someone like Jay doesn't represent like a huge chunk of America, you'd be wrong. He really does, with all of his imperfections. He's got a nice new windshield though today. So yeah, and I'd love to be able to start really getting into some more interviews, which I'm going to be setting up here over the next few weeks. Now that I've got everything moved and set back up, and almost set back up, as you can see, I'm not walking you out into the shipping area, quote unquote, yet, because that's still not done, not entirely set up, but it is coming along pretty good. So what do we got here? You believe anything Trump says because he said wait till somebody else. I got to go up here. Here we are. Like I said, if you have a question for me, let it fly. Anything. I don't care. I don't care. I will answer it to the best of my ability or not answer it. Let me go back to this here real quick. Let me go back to this. Here we are. Oh, not bored. Capture. So I wanted to go back to this here for just a moment.
You know, I have a healthy cynicism about politics and political media. You know they're in it for the ratings. You know people aren't going to be perfect. But you still expect some basic level of decency and ethics. I was shaken to my core real early on with how the news media normalized and amplified Donald Trump.
But, you know, it's like, wow. Very distressing to me as someone who's been part of the American news media for many decades, you know. I have a healthy cynicism about politics and political media. Really. This person had a D.C. lobby firm, worked for a D.C. lobby firm and was in American media for many decades. and was shaking my core real early on how news media normalized and amplified Donald Trump. They did. They did. MSNBC, Morning Joe, Morning Mika, they couldn't have been any. They loved Trump. They gave him a huge platform. Then they turned on him as soon as he won. It's like, oh shit, he wasn't supposed to win. They probably were going to get they probably had invested in like a True Social or something. They were probably just going to jump on the bandwagon that he had and profit from it. And once he won and he couldn't do that for several years, they're like, well, we just got to turn on him. It's just pathetic. When they sit there and anytime someone calls out one side without calling out the other side, you can just sit there and know, okay, well, they're extremely disingenuous.
All these years later, to see it still going on, that is immensely disappointing. Donald Trump and these right-wing extremist Republicans and the bad guys more generally are winning, and have already won bigger than I ever could have feared. What are your feelings about the House January 6th hearings?
Yeah, they kind of did. They and that's the feeling that I was talking about a little bit earlier, right? It kind of seems like they're winning with how slow the DOJ is to act on these things, whether it was Russiagate, whether it, all of the impeachments plural. It was just absolutely ridiculous from my perspective how broken this system has absolutely became. Here we are. What if Trump is the only one to do the job? No young kids, stubborn as hell. What if Trump is the only one to do the job? Well, I can't even see how he could do a job anymore. No matter what, he's so... could he get anything done? And it's like, okay, oh yeah, he could get something done now. Well, why the hell didn't he do it during his first term? All these things that he says he's going to do now, if he were to get a second term, like in 2024, do you really believe he's going to be able to do them now? That's just ridiculous. It's never been more charged, more politicized, more hated by the other side. Nothing will get done. And as you saw before, just being president doesn't mean you can do anything that you want. Why did he take so long why did he take so long as the classification authority to declassify these documents? Right? Why? He's in trouble right now for having classified documents. Well, he could have declassified them over the last 4 years, and he didn't do it. Why? Oh, he'll do it now. Now, that's just utter bullshit. That's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Do I have a better solution? No. Do I wish he would have been able to do I believe, along with so many millions of Americans, do I believe that the platform Trump ran on was going to be would have been great to have fixed? Yeah, but he didn't do shit for it. American Patriot Eagle 1776 says, Lady Girl, they were classified. Some were still marked classified. Also, Trump can't just declassify things with a wave of a wand. With the power of his mind or with the bark at the nearest aid, declassify this. There is a process. Well, American, that's not entirely accurate. There is a process, obviously, because everything gets labeled and everything gets marked. And, I was one of the guys that actually would do that, right, as an information assurance security officer. But yeah, I mean, he really can just, if you're the president was made the classification authority for the purpose of, there could be a situation where something needs to be declassified immediately, right? And we have to have someone that's able to do that. So yeah, as a classification authority, Trump literally could snap his fingers and have anything declassified that he wanted to. Then, the moment he did that, people would have to go through the process of making sure. Now, okay, it's declassified. Well, declassified doesn't mean, so it's not top secret anymore. Great. It still could have personal information, PII, social security numbers, or other things that even he wouldn't want, that you can't put out there. He can declassify something, but he can't release a bunch of social security numbers. You got to kind of protect them from themselves. But I thought it was ridiculous when I watched how many hoops he had to jump through to get stuff declassified. I mean, do you guys remember? Am I wrong? Am I the only one sitting here remembering back to when Trump was president and the Republicans were begging Trump to declassify these things and he would never freaking declassify them? Am I wrong? You remember that? Yeah. He could have. The classification authority is the President of the United States. That means it's the highest person on the poll. Anything that's classified could be declassified. But he's also has to be able to work with the people that actually declassify it. Right? Okay, it's classified. It's got, let's say, a top secret stamp on a paper document, or what they do with the files is with the files, you just drop down a simple little drop down that tags the digital file as being FOIA. What are the classifications? Well, you got unclassified. You've got close hold, which is just above classified. Close hold's actually a thing. Then you've got classified. Well, it's not really classified. You got secret, top secret, TSSCI, and it goes up from there. But yeah, literally, and those are pretty easy to do. When they're digital files like that, you can literally go in there and change classification with the drop down of a macro list, right? He could do that. Why was he never able to get these things done? Was it just incompetence? Was Trump incompetent? He was the freaking president of the United States. And I gotta ask. Who set him up? Right? Trump didn't pack those boxes that had classified information in it. Right? Anymore well, let's look at it this way. And you can't compare it to the Hillary Clinton thing. Because literally Clinton, with setting up a damn server in her bathroom. And not entirely sure it was literally in the bathroom, right? But how do you justify that? You don't justify. I mean, just in every single way that was wrong. In every single way that was wrong. But Trump didn't pack the boxes. Is he, why were those boxes brought there? Did he ask for them to be brought there? And if he did he say, again, you can't. He can just wave a wand and it's declassified. It's absolutely declassified at that point. He could even walk up to He could walk up to a private. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. They have like battlefield promotions. You could walk up to a freaking like a PFC or a corporal and make him a damn, you could make him a damn general, I think. Although generals have to be, they have to be approved or authorized by Congress. I think actually like there are combat and war promotion things where that's not even, where that could be even put aside. He's the president of the United States. He's the commander-in-chief of the U.S. Army, of the military. He can do these things, but it's not like it doesn't have follow-up to it. It's not like, oh, it's no longer classified. There's still going to be stamps on it. It still has to be gone through. But why couldn't he have done that? Why? And who set him up? Who brought classified information there? And by the way, it's like you'll see on TV, they'll say, "Oh, we can't. You can't take that classified information out of that skiff. That's a top secret skiff." Well, of course you can. The shit gets moved around. You know how you do it? You have what's called a courier card. I had a courier card, right? In my first book, Victim of the Swamp, I talk about when I was, I think we were on a layover in Greece. Can't remember where. We weren't allowed to fly in uniform, and but I had a letter, and that letter said you can't. I had an official passport and a letter that said you can't touch anything. You can't even scan my. Bags. Here we go. 40-year-old private. Managing expectations. Where is that? If I could find this, that would be great. Afghanistan contractor. Keys of the Kingdom. I don't know. That was before. Welcome to Kandahar. I think at 56. I'm looking at Victim of the Swamp right now. How the deep state destroyed the 40-year-old private. And I kind of went into this in a little bit with the. I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to find it, but it was when I was on my way over. Ah, there it goes. Okay. This is page 54. It's now just days before we are scheduled to deploy to Afghanistan. I have all of my medical, dental, and such ready, but someone forgot to submit a request for our orders and our passports. Even the adjudication of my top secret SCI clearance came down to the last minute. Seriously, nobody could make this stuff up. The passports were somehow expedited at the last minute through official channels, and our orders came through literally just hours before we were set to fly out. Imagine how successful a private company would be if it was that disorganized. It was my first trip abroad, and I was heading off to a war zone with 3 other guys on my team in a top secret suitcase that contained, well, top secret stuff. I deployed with another IT guy and 2 air conditioning repairmen to a baking hot desert in the Middle East. That was smart, if you ask me. We had to stop and change flights in Greece. We were not allowed to travel in uniform, and I remember running into this young Greek security guard at the airport who spoke or read no English at all. I had an official U.S. government DoD passport, official courier card, and letter stating the contents of the case I was carrying was protected under the diplomatic immunity, and that nobody can search it, scan it, or even touch it. When I handed the guard my U.S. diplomatic passport and official papers stating that, He showed it to the even younger colleague working next to him. They discussed something in Greek for a few moments. I couldn't understand it. It was all Greek to me. Haha. Then he looked at me. With shrugged shoulders and said with an almost Chief Inspector Jacques Clouseau accent, "I hope it's not a bomb." And let me pass with my top secret case unmolested. I know what I'm talking about here, folks. That was kind of funny. He couldn't read the document, but he just ends up, "Oh, I hope it's not a bomb." That's all the only English I could get out of the manager guy, right? But no, you can take top secret or classified documents, classified stuff out of a skiff. These people are just, they're not being, and you'll hear people that come out and they say, "Oh, we got a clearance and this and that." Well, that's great. You might have a clearance, but having a clearance means you can access certain things. Being the IT guy and the information assurance security officer means I had to know all the rules. It means I had to know all the rules so that they could be enforced and followed. So when I sit here and I listen to these people say stuff, and I'm not defending Trump here in the least, right? Oh, thanks, Tiff Neal. He said he just read that a couple days ago. I'm not saying this, right, to try to defend Trump. I think what he did was, why did they take any of that stuff out of there? That was probably a mistake. Although there's probably some stuff that he thought would be cool to have, but it doesn't matter. He was a president. He turned away. He actually gave up his salary every year. Probably got a good tax deduction out of it. But that $400,000 that he was going to make every year as president, that I'm sure Biden cashes that check. Then Hunter runs over there and turns it into crack. But he didn't even cash the damn checks. But that didn't matter. Not cashing the checks doesn't mean that you still didn't have to follow the rules, my friend. And so when it comes to that, I'm not going to defend Trump for taking stuff out of there, but it happens. And they understand that, right? I can't discuss it because it's classified. But I happen to know for a fact that people can make mistakes when it comes to classified information. And as long as you're honest about it and forthright, like they don't find out about it, you come to them and tell them, you're going to be okay. They aren't out just to destroy everybody that works for the government. He didn't pack those boxes. So if there is a situation where you've been told that there's some things that you need to return, you got to stop arguing about it. You don't argue about that. Freaking give them back. And you apologize. What's wrong with that? What's so difficult about apologizing? And you know what? They'll turn around and it's like, done. Learn your lesson. Oh, maybe you're going to have to take the 10-question IO test again, right? Stallworth No says, I heard Trump left with declassified information. Word is Biden administration reclassified it. Lots of dirt. Well, Biden can do that. He's the classification authority. But Biden would have to go through a process as well. Although he can just wave his wand and say, all the stuff that Trump has, he can't do that. He's got to be actually very specific. You got to actually, and you don't just wave your wand with nothing in front of you. You would, you would have these documents. You would have a list, a very detailed list, and say, we got to get these. These are declassified, and I need these quickly. And the archive people, the IASO, the KMO, Knowledge Management Officer, is going to get to work. That's who declassifies those, IASO or KMO, Knowledge Management Officer. That's who declassifies that. So, have we got, and I think we're going to be joined actually a little bit late by Riley, who was, actually, I believe it's Riley's day off today. This woman works like freaking crazy, I'm telling you. So, that's my 2 cents on that. And I hope that by just sitting there grabbing that and showing you, that book was put out in 2017. And actually, that book was put out in 2017. And it's all verifiable. So, let me see here. What do we got? I'm going to read a couple of these things here. Lady Girl says, trying to correct you because you're wrong. He declassified, FBI wouldn't release. So, I'm not wrong. I pretty much agreed with you with everything you're saying there. But there is a process to it. And, FBI wouldn't release. That's an excuse. Right? So, Lady Girl, if you work for someone and they tell you to do something, and you do it, but you can't finish it because somebody else, are you off the hook on that? Or is your boss going to be going, I don't give a shit. I told you to do this. It's not done. Right? There's so many excuses that comes out of the Trump administration. It's not even funny. And I just wish people would just be honest about it. It's like, wow, they screwed up. Why couldn't Trump get that stuff taken care of? And if someone didn't do it, why didn't they just get rid of the people that wouldn't do it and replace them with people that would? That wouldn't have been illegal. He's the classification authority. Our government and the classification of documents is set up to have that chain of command, so that in the event of an emergency, we have somebody that can declassify stuff and make it available if necessary. Right? And you know what? There are some people that are going to be, there's going to be a lot of hand wringing with this. Oh, he can't do that. Oh, well, yeah, he can. Fuck you. Yes, he can. But again, him saying it's declassified does not change the stamp on it. It's got to have the classifications changed. And it's got to be done and processed through. It's with digital items, that's super easy. Change the drop down on it. With the paper document, that's a little more complicated. Got to go through and mark off top secret and put as unclassified, but you have to make sure that it doesn't have stuff that can't be made public, because there's some things that you can't declassify. The President of the United States can't get pissed off and just release the Social Security number and addresses and dates of birth to all of his enemies. And although you could probably argue that he could. Politically, it would suck for him. But literally, he could. But that it's got to go from that process of him ordering it done to it being done. Now, if that turns into being an unfunded mandate, like there's like one guy, here's 1 million documents, and you got one dumbass Bergy some fucking private Bergy sitting back there, live streaming, live streaming something from home, and you hand him a million documents and say, fucking private, get over here, got some work for you. And be like, well, I'll be like 90 years old by the time I'm done. I mean, come on. You got to have it done. But he is. You can't take that away. You cannot change that. I don't care. Someone would have to show me the documentation that says that the president is not the classification authority and that he cannot sit there and declassify anything he wants. Can't. Why was he so... It sucks. It sucks. Why did someone that was so strong and said, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do this. I wish he had. I wish he had gone in there and actually got this shit done that he said he was going to do. Expose these people he said he was going to do. And I get it. These people were pissed at him. Didn't matter. He could have done it, but he didn't. And I have a problem with that. And I don't make excuses for him or anybody else, because nobody makes excuses for me. I don't even make excuses for me. Excuse me. So we're going to get wrapped up here in the next few minutes. I really want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Actually had a pretty good crowd. And I like to see things are picking up a little bit here. Especially, I was worried because being off like the last week with moving and such. Although I did a couple little short things from the stoop, as someone put it. But I think we gotta stop the destructive forces that are tearing us apart and start just listening to each other. Doesn't mean you have to believe everything, but let's start opening our minds up to verified information, right? Let's stick to that, by the way. Let's stick to verified information. And by people that have the authority and understanding to be able to actually, and without and lacking the political bullshit that goes along with it. You may not, I get it. I pissed a lot of people off with calling out Millie, Gavin, Tory. I don't care. And you shouldn't either. You should appreciate someone who is neutral on this stuff, who doesn't have a dog in the fight, so to speak, who knows what they're talking about. These are important things to do. And I hope that I can continue to be that voice for you guys and to continue to grow with my platform here. And hopefully be able to get on the road here very soon as far as setting up some speaking engagements and such, to where I'll be able to start going out and meeting with people and with groups. That's probably not going to happen until post November. But if everything goes the way that I think it's going to go, I believe people are going to start looking at me and saying, shit, we should have listened to this guy a long time ago. Those people wouldn't be my ex-wives, but they will be some political people here, or you can mix a lot, it says, or you can delete and or smash the classified evidence like Clinton. Yeah. It sucks, doesn't it? Sucks. Two-tiered. We gotta stop this bullshit. We gotta start calling out. We gotta have equal treatment across the board, right? We gotta have equal treatment across the board. My next show, I'll be back on Wednesday. And I'm hoping to put together, now that I got everything squared away here, which I was literally, not everything, I still got a little bit more to do here. But pretty much got everything from the move taken care of. I got some bills coming in here with this stuff, folks, and it's really stressing me out. But y'all have been absolutely amazing, right? I am closing down the Bergy Bros Media simply because I can't by myself do the books, manage all of that stuff. It's just going to be under I'm just going to do this under an LLC that I'll set up here in the next few weeks. But everything's going to stay the same. You wouldn't even ever notice it. It's not like I really promoted it in any way. So, you know, it's just for protection. But I don't really feel like I even need protection, right? Because my protection's called the truth. So that's why if you want to sue me, go right ahead, because you can't really do it unless they've lied. Speech in America is free. True speech. Lies can cost you. And on that note, I'm going to sign off here. Please, if you can, I'm going to go to my closing thing here. Stop. Hey, that's Fred's thing. There you go. As you can see, if you can, please help support me either at freedomstream.tv or at Patreon. It's a big deal. A lot of expenses these last couple weeks, and without being on and such, it really slowed things down. And I could really use some help, that's for sure. But it doesn't matter. I am going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing better. And hopefully, I think you're going to find probably around November that people are going to really start to see what a mistake it's been in following and believing some of these people that have just continuously failed them and lied. And they've known they've lied, but they kind of excused them like, oh, it's a greater good, we'll be okay. No. People are going to start seeing that, my friends. People are going to start seeing that. And that's when people are going to go, wow, we should listen to someone who actually knows what the hell he's talking about. So again, really use your help. I ain't going to lie. freedomstream.tv shop or Patreon, American Awakening. You can help out. If you're on Twitch, absolutely you can help out. If you'd like to buy one of my books, buy my book. You can go to Amazon. Just do a search on Amazon for Patrick Bergy. Those help out tremendously. I don't see the book proceeds for about 2 months, but it all helps out, my friends. It really does. So on that note, I'd like to wish everyone an absolutely wonderful night. The shit just keeps rolling in, my friends. We got a lot to go over. I will be back with you on Wednesday, maybe in the next couple weeks. Again, based on support and such, maybe in the next few weeks, we'll start bringing this to daily shows that go for an hour, and I'm going to start doing some, or if I don't do, maybe like on my off days, I might just do those for Patreon supporters. So, on that note, thank you very much. Good night, everyone, and God bless.